What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily. So it's been more than a month now since the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra was released. I've been going back and forth between it and my iPhone 14 Pro, and I have to say, the S23 Ultra isn't just the best Samsung phone out there, it's probably the best Android device you can buy overall. On the flip side, Apple's iPhone 14 Pro is also the best iPhone you can buy right now, but comparatively, spec-wise and feature-wise, the Ultra is better than the Pro. The thing is, Apple doesn't have an Ultra iPhone to compete with this yet. And because of that, the S23 Ultra has almost an unfair advantage with Ultra features, like the S Pen, for example, and additional charging options, and the controversial 100 times super zoom the iPhone just does not offer. Still, the iPhone 14 Pro has plenty of perks itself, mostly within Apple's own ecosystem, but if you're in the market for a new device right now, and you're looking for the best of the best, it's honestly a tough choice between these two smartphones. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the handful of similarities, the endless number of differences, and everything else you need to know with the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra and the iPhone 14 Pro, and let me know which device you think is better in the comments below, or at least which smartphone you'd rather have yourself. So for starters, it's pretty obvious that the S23 Ultra is the bigger device. It's huge. At 6.8 inches, it's about as big of a smartphone as you could possibly buy, and it makes the regular sized iPhone 14 Pro at 6.1 inches almost seem like a mini. A more fair comparison, I guess, would have been the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Here's a mock-up of one just so you can see, but even that phone is smaller at 6.7 inches. If you want the largest screen possible, the Ultra is your answer. And at a nearly 90% screen to body ratio, there's practically nothing on the front of this phone besides the display and a small center selfie camera. The iPhone, of course, has that large dynamic island, which sure is a feature, but if you're like me and don't get much use out of it, it sort of just takes up some more valuable screen real estate. The Ultra also has an oh-so-subtle curve to its front glass. It's not quite a curved display per se, but I think it at least helps hide at least the side bezels that much more effectively. And in the hand, the iPhone 14 Pro is certainly more comfortable to use, but again, the Ultra isn't one for comfort or practicality. It's for giving you a giant screen. Around back, both these phones are made from a combination frosted glass and polished metal. The edge, though, I think goes to the iPhone, stainless steel frame versus the Ultra's aluminum, and Samsung did have that whole period where their most expensive devices were made of plastic. I'm glad they got over that. For the four-figure price tag both these phones command, they are similarly premium and certainly look the part. I would definitely recommend using a case on these phones, of course, and the one I've been using on my iPhone is CaseCoo's Magic Stand case. This is a super protective and very functional dual-purpose case. It comes in a bunch of different colors, including this purple, which obviously pairs nicely. It's a fully protective case offering 360-degree coverage, including raised edges for the screen up front and camera bump around back, and the case also has a hidden stand built right in. Flipping this out allows you to rest your phone upright at an angle or rest it on its side, which is perfect for FaceTiming, watching a YouTube video, or pulling something up on your phone to read hands-free while you do something else. And you can also slide your finger through the metal ring at the back to get a better hold on your device. And the metal ring is fully magnetic too, and allows for an even stronger connection for MagSafe accessories. Check out CaseCoo's Magic Stand cases at the link down below in the video description, and use code TechDaily for 10% off. So finishing up with the physicalities of these phones, the iPhone has its volume and silent ringer switch on the left side. The S23 Ultra has all its buttons on the right, nothing at the top of either device, but at the bottom, the only thing that's the same here really is the speaker and microphone setup. The S23 Ultra, of course, has its S Pen, a USB-C port, and SIM card tray, while the iPhone has just the Lightning port. And we'll talk about the S Pen on the Ultra in just a second, but even more important than that is the physical SIM card tray on the Ultra. No SD card support or expandable storage, unfortunately, but at least you don't have to suffer through the miserable eSIM only experience the iPhone 14s have now, at least in the US. I'm sure Samsung will ditch the SIM card tray soon enough, but for this year, it is weirdly an advantage. And one last physical feature to mention, the S23 Ultra, of course, has its ultrasonic in-display fingerprint sensor. A lot of people don't like this, but for me, it's been lightning fast and fairly accurate. And more often than not, with sunglasses or a hat or whatever else, it's quicker and more convenient than Apple's Face ID. The Ultra has Face Unlock itself too, though it's arguably less secure. But either way, it has unlocking options. I don't know that we'll ever see a fingerprint sensor again on an iPhone. So obviously, one of the standout features that sets the S23 Ultra apart from not just the iPhone, but from 99.9% of other Android devices too, is its S Pen. On the one hand, this is a great add-on that certainly unlocks like a dozen additional apps and features, from just using it like your finger to writing notes, editing documents and screenshots, coloring, live messages, AR, utilizing it as a camera shutter button at a distance. The S Pen and its corresponding apps are certainly a big reason why this is an Ultra device. And it's far and away the best stylus experience you can get on any smartphone. The S Pen isn't just some pointy little stick, it's a smart device that's connected to the phone, and the phone is made for the stylus. But for as awesome as the S Pen is to have, Samsung hasn't really done anything new with it in probably the last 3 or 4 years. So it's more of a we still have it feature rather than something that's constantly evolving like the cameras or the processor. Still, this is something the iPhone has never had. If you want a stylus on iOS, you need an Apple Pencil and an iPad. And at that point, you may as well compare it to a Galaxy tablet. Not really the same thing. I know tons of people gravitate towards the Ultras nowadays who are former Note users who still love the S Pen. And I think this truly is an ultra cool feature that sets this phone apart from every other smartphone on the market, iPhone or Android. When it comes to the viewing experience, both these phones offer phenomenal displays, but depending on what you value, there might be a clear winner. I already mentioned that the S23 Ultra obviously is gargantuan, so you get a ton of screen real estate, but spec-wise, it's also the sharper display. You get a QHD 3088 by 1440 resolution on the Ultra, packing in nearly 500 pixels per inch. On a screen this size, that's really, really good. The iPhone offers a quirky 2556 by 1179 resolution, slightly better than 1080, I guess, packing in around 460 pixels per inch. So objectively, it's a smaller screen at a worse resolution, but it's pretty tough to see the difference, even up close. You're not going to be picking out any pixels, but it's the principle of the thing, I suppose. Both displays are OLED panels. The Ultra is a dynamic AMOLED 2X panel. The iPhone is Apple's LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED. They're similarly punchy and colorful, but with the Ultra, you do have more options for adjusting the screen to get the exact color and temperature you're after. They're both high refresh rate 120Hz displays as well, so your taps and touches are very responsive, and everything on screen looks super smooth. The final difference really is in max brightness. So technically, the S23 Ultra has the higher user-selected brightness of around 1200 nits versus the iPhone's 1000 nits. But for auto brightness, in a bright outdoor setting, for example, with the sun shining directly on the phones, the Ultra maxes out at 1750 nits, while the iPhone can achieve nearly 2000 nits. Now, in my own experience, I actually prefer just the higher user-controlled brightness on the Ultra. The auto brightness on the iPhone is great, but it isn't always reaching its absolute max, and certainly not for extended periods of time. So this is sort of a your mileage may vary situation, depending on how you use the phone and how often you maybe need it in direct sunlight. The iPhone could theoretically help you out in certain instances, but I think the S23 Ultra's brightness capabilities are actually more useful. All in all, both these phones offer some of the best displays you can buy, but to me, the Ultra does have a bit of an edge. As far as the out loud listening experience, both these phones have fantastic dual speaker setups, one at the bottom, a secondary one in each of the earpieces at the top. To me, they sound similar. Maybe the Ultra is a little louder, if anything, but here's a sound sample from each so you can decide for yourself. When it comes to specs and performance, it's always difficult comparing Apple's to Samsung's. Now, there are some objective data points you could toss out. For example, with the latest Geekbench 6 scores, technically Apple's A16 Bionic processor is more powerful than the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. On the other hand, the S23 Ultra packs in more RAM, 8 or even 12 gigs, depending on the configuration, versus the iPhone's 6 gigs. But those specs are sort of meaningless because Android and iOS are just different. The phones are set up differently, apps run differently, they're optimized for different things. The Android experience and the iOS experience continue to be worlds apart in some regard. So it's not so much a speed and performance thing as it is just a personal preference thing. Now, there are some other factors to consider. I think the S23 Ultra as a whole is the fastest, smoothest, and most responsive Samsung device ever, and noticeably so. Whether that's One UI being better optimized or the new Snapdragon processor just being more efficient, this phone feels fast and looks visually very smooth. And a lot of other people have said similar things. The iPhone, of course, has plenty of Apple and iOS specific perks, and comparatively, the big one, in my opinion, is actually just longevity with iOS updates. Chances are the iPhone 14 Pro will have 6 or 8 or maybe even more major iOS versions ahead of it. Samsung promises support for 4 Android releases on the S23 line and security updates for a couple years beyond that, but we've seen Apple support iOS devices for longer and longer. So I don't think it's out of line to say the iPhone could be supported for twice as long as the S23 Ultra. That means it's a long-term investment. There's some value there for sure that goes beyond just general specs and performance. And to me, having your dollar stretch further and new features hitting your phone every single year for years and years to come is a pretty big perk. Still, the S23 Ultra is one of the most powerful Android devices you can buy right now. It's not the most powerful anymore. There are gaming phones out there with more RAM and active cooling and more optimized performance, but for non-gamers at least, it is just about the best of the best money can buy in the Android space. As far as the batteries and the charging features, this category could easily go to the S23 Ultra, but both Apple and Samsung do just an awful job at giving the consumer the best charging experience possible with these phones. Size-wise, the Ultra has a massive 5,000 mAh battery crammed inside, which sure, a lot of that is used up by the big, bright, high-resolution screen and other features, but it's still considerably larger than the iPhone 14 Pro's 3,200 mAh battery and larger still than the Pro Max's 4,300 mAh battery. In day-to-day use, I've found the S23 Ultra to last a bit longer too than the iPhone, but as I mentioned before, it's sometimes tough to do an exact one-to-one comparison since so many factors are different. The screen, the specs, the OS, and all that stuff. What's objective is the fact that the S23 Ultra supports the faster 45-watt charging standard, a faster 15-watt wireless charging standard with non-OEM chargers. The iPhone gives you 15 watts only with MagSafe, and the Ultra has reverse wireless charging, so you can juice up another device in a pinch if you need to. The iPhone's MagSafe standard and accessory lineup is pretty cool, but what you gain from MagSafe, you lose in having a lightning port. USB-C iPhones are on the way, but Apple might be limiting charging standards even with that if they have their way. And on top of everything, neither phone ships with any charger in the box, and certainly not one which yields the fastest advertised charging speeds so that, people could actually take advantage of the faster charging capabilities these phones are supposed to have. Most people don't even charge with the proper accessories, since they're probably using some old USB plug they've had for 4 or 5 years. And not including the right accessories in the box for these very expensive phones, or even just emphasizing the charging capabilities really anymore, is a huge miss for both of them. Finally, let's talk cameras. Now, there's obviously been some controversy involving the S23 Ultra, Samsung's super zoom feature, which they almost always advertise with a crystal clear picture of the moon, seems to have been, let's say, enhanced, others might say faked, with the moon getting a sort of filter over it, no matter the picture you take. But the S23 S23 Ultra's camera capabilities are still really impressive. There's more hardware and software features than the iPhone, and let's be honest, any smartphone nowadays relies heavily on tons of image processing to produce the pictures and videos you see. So chances are both these phones are doing some trickery, no matter the zoom or the subject. Around back, the Ultra packs that brand new 200 megapixel main lens paired to a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens and another 10 megapixel telephoto lens for good measure, along with a 12 megapixel ultra-wide shooter. The iPhone has a paltry 48 megapixel main lens by comparison, though also brand new for this device, paired to a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, though significantly less powerful, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. Both selfie cameras are 12 megapixel lenses too, but that's where their similarities end. Inside the camera apps, Samsung gives users tons and tons of shooting modes, features, filters, and settings that most people probably won't use, but certainly go beyond what's available on the iPhone. Apple's camera app is relatively simple by comparison, but offers plenty of Apple-specific camera modes itself, and tons of professional camera features too. There are plenty of similar over-the-top camera options on both these devices, like cinematic modes and raw shooting, but the S23 Ultra, I think, takes things multiple steps further. 8K video recording, for example, and oh yeah, significantly better zoom capabilities. The iPhone can't zoom past 15 times, but the S23 Ultra goes well beyond that without even breaking a sweat. Countless capabilities aside, it's really the real-world pictures and videos that matter most. And side by side, you can see that both these phones certainly interpret a scene or subject differently, with varying colors and levels of detail. I don't know that one is significantly better than the other. The iPhone tends to be duller but more true to life. The Ultra is eye-catching but maybe overdone. The Ultra can also capture more detail, but what do you guys think? Which pictures look better in your opinion? I think we're at this point now where smartphone cameras aren't always better or worse, just different in how they capture things, but maybe I'm missing something more. Let me know. All in all, when it comes to just overall features and specs, the S23 Ultra, I think, is the clear winner. The iPhone 14 Pro has plenty to offer, but for now, Ultra outdoes Pro in areas like screen size and resolution, RAM, camera capabilities, and the S Pen too. The rumors suggest that an Ultra iPhone might be on its way, and if that's the case, let me know what features you'd like to see from a potential iPhone 15 Ultra that might allow it to better stack up against the S23 Ultra. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or at least found it somewhat helpful. Let me know which of these phones you'd prefer in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter, and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.